So explicit teaching is being very specific about why we do what we do and when we use it. The English language is tricky, so you have to teach it. We can't just assume kids will pick this up from reading and writing. We have to say, this is why we use, when we're putting a word in the past tense, this is why we add ed, or this is, if we want something to come before, we use the prefix pre. So, ness is when we add it to an adjective to make it into a noun. Whereas in meant, we add it to a verb. In the classroom, we teach Tier 1 instructions, which is that foundational language that is teaching to the whole class. We do some practice with that throughout the week, and then on Friday I do a quick check-in just to see who is or who isn't grasping the concept. What kind of word is a verb? Nicholas?
Being, helping, or action.
Yeah, being, helping, or action. So when we add it to a verb, it creates a noun. In our school board, we have a variety of assessments for reading and writing. And so usually in September, I'm going to start with those assessments and try to get an understanding of where my students are. And then I set up expectations, give them instructions, this is what we're going to do, and then the whole class would be doing the same thing. In October, I introduced centers, and so we modeled what a centers were going to look like. We were going to have 3 or 4 centers at a time. We have a timer, so you know how long. It's the same work they were doing as whole class, but now they know what to do. They know what the expectation is. We are going to work in our centers today, but the activity that they're doing is fairly similar. So I also make sure that they have the tools that they need, either in their binders or even on the page, so they understand what they're working on. So then we model and we practice having those going to groups. Our morphemes, we're going to work with ness and ment. So if your name is under there, we've got your pages. If I'm noticing that there's a group of students that aren't quite there yet, that's where our Tier 2 instruction comes in. I have some support coming into the classroom and working with those students. And then, of course, work with Miss Kingston. So if you see your name under work with Miss Kingston, you're going to join her at our front desk. And sometimes it is on that foundational piece that we worked on as whole class, but sometimes it's going back and seeing, where they're at. Maybe there's another area of need. Maybe it is they're still working on decoding.
What are the sounds that you hear in the word scream?
This year I had 2 groups of students that I've noticed. One really needed some support in their decoding, so the breaking apart of words to be able to understand those words.
Together, let's do the word scream together. Ready? 5 sounds. Ready?
It's a lot more explicit instruction in language, which I think has been very beneficial to students. We're actually breaking it down.
So these are called sound boxes, and if I were putting letters inside of them, I put one letter that I hear inside of each box, okay? So
I've learned that it's okay to slow it down, and we're building those strong foundations, that we have a curriculum that, yes, we need to follow, but it's okay to slow it down and meet the kids where they are.
Yeah. What's the difference between the C and the C? This is like I see you, and this is like
the
sea. I went to the sea and went swimming, right?
The ocean is meant to like
Everyone gets the same Tier 1 instruction, but then those ones need a little extra support, and maybe that's some front loading, so we're doing some stuff that we're going to focus on as a whole class next week.
It is very bright on the road today.
No, I spelled bright wrong in the field.
Hey, remember we can look over here to help us.
I love those moments where you see that explicit instruction showing up in their writing, or when you're hearing them read, they're reading a word that they might not have been able to read a few weeks ago because they know that those letters make that sound.
And at the end of our sentence we put, awesome, good job, Owen.
I think managing the whole class while you're pulling a small group and being able to actually focus on that group of students for the 10-15 minutes, that's probably the trickiest part of that Tier 2 intervention. But as long as you're explicitly having those classroom expectations and that management stuff, it's very possible. There are so many resources out there. Lean on your teaching partners. And it's okay to focus in on one thing that you want to improve for this year. We don't have to be experts at everything the first go. I've learned that it's working. I'm seeing it work in the class. Their reading levels are higher than maybe grade 4s that I've taught in the past. And I think that is a direct correlation of teaching and that explicit instruction that they're getting.